Hi everyone. I hope you all appreciate my um, super professional late night pajama-fied chic look. I guess I'm considering it a tribute to you guys regarding, I guess, how fast-paced this course is and how much it demands of you, and how bedraggled that can make you feel, at least, if you don't also look bedraggled. If so, I couldn't blame you. That said, you guys are actually all a very decent crop of writers who generally follow directions very well and produce pretty decent work. Hence the lack of videos, actually. Ordinarily, I'll post fairly often for my students, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. Especially with my online classes, when I notice a bunch of common errors or people are having a great deal of difficulty with a particular assignment. Now, errors are generally affecting the quality of student work. In the case of this class, though, I haven't necessarily noticed any of these really serious errors, so I haven't seen a need to create a lot of videos for you guys. But I did want to check in with you all because we're at the halfway point in the class. I have just submitted midterm grades around 11 p.m. this evening. And at this point, I just want to check in with you all and remind you that I'm here to answer your questions as close to when they arise as I can, and to give you all a few general pointers on your remaining assignments. These pointers are not necessarily live or die pointers, but they will make your writing cleaner. They will make it more consistent. So these are based on general issues and errors that are fairly common across all of you all and that I've seen in your work so far. Toward the end of the video, I'll actually make special reference to how you might improve your ethics projects if you choose to resubmit those for a better grade this coming Sunday by midnight, but I'll mention that again toward the end of the video. So without further ado, here come the pointers, the general pointers for all writing you ever do, but particularly for technical writing and particularly for this class. So one of the main things I'm noticing in your work is a lack of consistency and uniformity all throughout your work. This isn't true for all people at all times, but at some point, most of you have shown some kind of inconsistencies in your work in one of the following ways. One is in font size or style. So you might be in font size 12 Times New Roman for a while and switch to Times New Roman size 10. If you're switching up your font size or style throughout a document, unless the change is super logical, like you're giving headings or something, it just looks messy and disorganized, which makes people pretty much want to stop reading, want to stop looking at your work. That's like the opposite of the goal of writing. You want people to keep reading. Next is punctuation. Most of you aren't checking to make sure that if you put a period at the end of one phrase or sentence, you put it at the end of others that are similar to it. There are other ways to be inconsistent, but those are the major things to look out for. Really, it's just like if you do one thing to one place, do it to another place if it's a similar type of thing, if that's not too vague. The next pointer I want to give, it may seem small, but almost everyone has struggled with this, so I'm assuming that this is just a bad habit taught to you guys long ago that I'd like to work with you to undo. No matter what you've heard, when you are quoting something, you are using double quotation marks. That's the default. Always, anytime you're quoting something. I've noticed a lot of you guys using single quotation marks just off the bat when quoting something. Single quotation marks are for one thing only, and that's a quote within a quote. So, for example, if you're writing a paper in which Martin Luther King is quoting Gandhi, you use double quotation marks around everything King said, but then when King begins quoting Gandhi, you use single quotation marks for what Gandhi said. The next pointer I have for you all is that in technical and academic writing, the use of you, Y-O-U, and everything like it, Y-O-U-R, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, It's generally considered informal unless it's crystal clear exactly who you is supposed to mean. Like if you have a very specific person or group of people in mind. Like I'm referring to you guys as you, I'm referring to you in writing because I know exactly who I'm talking to, my 5 students. Um, when you're referring to a general unspecified you, though, you really want to name the person or people or thing that you mean instead of saying you. For example, when writing a business memo that you know for sure is addressed to your employees, you is fine to use because you know who you're talking to. But when you're sending out a memo and you're not sure who all will receive it, you want to remain formal by mentioning specific people instead of you. Instead of saying, for example, you want to be careful in how you address clients, which sounds kind of confrontational and therefore informal, you would say employees must be careful in how they address clients. The next pointer may make it seem like I'm being really nitpicky, but trust me, just trust me. You want to actually try to avoid the use of adverbs. A lot of you use them, and some of you use a lot of them. An adverb, remember, is a word that describes a verb or an adjective. So it can describe the way in which something does, or you can say something is very pretty, really pretty, extremely pretty, or something was done sloppily or very sloppily. So adverbs modify or describe other adverbs, verbs, and adjectives. They often end in ly. So examples include really, very, absolutely, strongly, interestingly. Even though people often add adverbs in their writing because they believe it makes their ideas sound stronger, doing so can actually weaken your writing because it makes it seem like you just can't choose that one powerful word, or that you don't want to rely on the power of a word all by itself to convey what it needs to. Like you're afraid to rely on that word. So you really want to leave out with really and very, etc. in front of things. I'm being sincere when I say that eliminating these words can really make a world of a difference. I say really make a world of a difference, but this is sort of an informal situation in which I'm speaking in a video. So an example would be like, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you versus I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Or I sincerely hope that my resume reveals versus my resume will reveal to you that I am a great candidate. The second sentence in each example just has a lot more authority when it doesn't have the adverb in it. My last pointer before we talk about the ethics project is in regards to how you all are using APA, which is incorrectly. So many of you are not using APA at all, or you're making up your own citation style, or you're doing some kind of mashup between MLA and APA based on like what you might remember from when you took English 101 or 111 or what have you. You're trying to basically like approximate what an APA reference citation looks like when you really want to nail it, because APA is super strict on exactly how things are done, and if you don't do it that exact way, you look lazy. I didn't call you lazy. I said you look lazy on paper when you don't follow a citation guide. You're not supposed to have this stuff memorized. You go to a reference like the one I'm going to post after this video. You want to look at that reference to see like how something is supposed to be cited exactly in APA. So I guess it helps to remember when you're thinking about how to cite something that consistency again is important, and to remember that APA and other citation styles or pages, they exist for a good reason, several good reasons. One, they show where your citations come from. But also a good APA citation, again, that gives you a lot of credibility. So you really want to get it right. Also, if you're not doing a citation guide, like I've already mentioned, you're probably not doing it right. So again, make sure to look on the same announcement in which this video appears to see how to do APA. Basically, you decide what type of source you have. Most of the time, it's going to be an internet source, maybe a web page, an article from a web page, and then you cite it accordingly, according to what information you need, what order does it go in, what punctuation do you use, when do you capitalize. You just follow everything to a T, essentially. Lastly, I swear, we have to mention, I have to mention to you guys the ethics project. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I want to address your ethics project assignments. So some of you guys might notice in the comments that I left you, I either directly or indirectly mentioned a revision for the ethics project. I want you guys to understand that this is not required. It's something that I've added to the calendar in case you guys want to get some points back, because on the whole, this was everybody's weakest assignment, and I want you guys to have the opportunity to make improvements to the assignment based on my comments, if you so wish, to turn in no later than Sunday. So no matter what my comments made it sound like, this is totally optional. But again, it's worth 100 points, so it's kind of a high-stakes assignment. I figured you might want the opportunity, again, to take a few days to make improvements to the ethics project, if you like. So here's some things I'm noticing based on what I saw from the presentations. 1, PowerPoint presentations can be a snooze fest if you're not careful. In other words, they can be very boring. The absolute last thing you want to do, again, is to bore your audience, to confuse them, to make things look chaotic. It's just, you're trying to keep their attention. So think about it. If you don't want to sit through a PowerPoint presentation that has very little to no color, no interesting graphics, no pictures, your audience isn't going to want to do it either. So you want to add interest by adding things like this. I'm adding, along with the APA citation link, I'm adding a link to a sample PowerPoint presentation that I think is successful. Mimic its moves. There's nothing wrong with that. Second thing, and this is true for all assignments, but some of you guys are really missing required elements from the assignment. Every assignment from now on for the rest of your life, including this one, you want to read very carefully and think about making a checklist. Don't just rely on a mental checklist, but make like an actual physical checklist of particular tasks in the assignment that you need to make sure you've accomplished. Some of you guys are leaving out the APA references page, which is actually technically considered plagiarism, even though I didn't nail you for it. I mean, lots of things little things sometimes that I think you guys are missing from assignments. So make sure to check that out. With all assignments, what am I missing? Cross-check those things before you submit your assignments. 3, again with the inconsistency thing that I mentioned at the start of this video. People crave consistency in life, and they expect it in presentations and they expect it in writing. If you don't deliver it to them, they don't have any reason to keep reading, watching, listening. But if you deliver it to them, you keep their trust and their attention. You make them want to continue reading. So be consistent with font, with punctuation, etc., capitalization. Finally, you want to fight to make your work grammatically parallel. What I mean is that you want to take any phrases or sentences that appear in a list or in bullet points. You want to make them look and feel grammatically similar. This is yet another form of consistency. So I wouldn't say I'm going skating, jumping, rope, and to fly a kite. I would say I'm going skating, skipping rope, flying a kite. ING, ING, ING. Again, it's yet another form of consistency. And again, I'm going to post another video to show you guys it's short. And it's also, the concept is also called, by the way, parallelism or parallel structure. You guys, believe it or not, that's it. I'm super tired. I'm certain that you are as well. So I'm going to cut out of here. I wish you all the best of luck going forward in the course. I thank you all for your patience as I finished taking care of moving with my infant son. And I'm finally settling into my new home with my new kid, my new life. I mentioned earlier on that I required some patience from you guys if you weren't hearing from me right away or seeing grades appear right away. I do appreciate that patience very much. Things are mostly normal now. Also, I hope you guys have a wonderful 4th of July holiday. Enjoy yourselves, please. Hopefully, you're actually not watching this video on the 4th of July, rather on the 5th. I myself will be out of touch on the 4th, just to enjoy the holiday with family and friends, but I'll be back in touch on the 5th and thereafter. If you guys need anything, please, if you do need anything, reach out. Some of you guys are great about getting in touch with me with questions, and some of you guys are a little bit more gun shy, or maybe it's that I wait so long to respond. But in any case, I am fully online now, so please send your questions my way. All my best to you all as you continue in the course, and I will say bye for now.